us and the collaboration we're going to have going forward.
No better way to communicate to your audience.
How do we grow strategically now that we've gotten the right path forward? What's up, everybody? Welcome to Agents Who Win. I'm here with my coach, Donna Stott. Donna, thank you for being here. She's bringing today a presentation on the real estate market and the cycle, how it's changing. So, Donna, I want to let you take over because this is all about you and what you've presented. I've heard your presentation before and have like 3 pages of notes. So if you're not listening, you better be paying attention because this is what the market's doing.
And Todd, I'm happy to send you the slides. So if you would like to, if anybody wants the slides, they can get them from you or your assistant. Who should they contact?
Just have them get to me and we'll get them the slides so they can walk through it.
You got it.
Perfect.
Let me know when we're ready to go.
Right,
and
so we're going to remove this and we're going to play a little technical game here. All right, we're all set. No branding. This is all about transparency. It's clean layout.
Very good. Thanks, Todd, very much.
Yes.
As we all know, the real estate market is changing, and a recent presentation by a national franchise elite retreat said 91% of active real estate agents today have never been through a down cycle. Now, I know you've been through a down cycle, right?
A couple of them.
Yeah, and I've been through a couple of them, but it's amazing to me that many agents out there today, and probably a lot of the people that are listening to this or watching this are in a position that they really don't know how to handle a down cycle. So we've been up or a flat cycle for more than a decade, but you're going to learn today how to explain the real estate cycle like a clock. It's a very simple presentation. I actually learned it back in the last down cycle, in the beginning of the last down cycle. And so this is going to help people explain the real estate market. I actually used this last night at dinner with some past clients of mine. Now, you're not going to show a PowerPoint presentation. What you're going to do is just draw this, and I'll show you how it works in a few minutes. Little bonus today, I've got the pool of buyers script and the systematic price reduction strategy script, and 10 concrete reasons buyers should be buying now. So those of you who have buyers that aren't buying, I'm going to give you those 10 concrete reasons. Now that may be putting in a separate presentation, I understand, but it'll be there. Awesome. So I'm going to go a few slides. Let me go forward here. I'm going to start with a slide that came from Mike Delpreet. And what Mike said is the pandemic years, especially 2021, were actually an aberration, right? And yet everyone has moved in the last couple of years. Housing prices skyrocketed. Nearly every real estate business had record revenues. You can see that right here. But it was an outlier when you're looking at the last decade. You see that? The last 2 years were actually an outlier. This is using an estimate of where we're going to end up this year, which is really not that bad for the historical average. What we made the mistake in doing, why does this matter, is we keep comparing this year with last year. And that's creating some really negative press. So what we want to take a look at, we're only down 0.9%, not even 1% of the historical average. So that's an important thing to know. If you're looking at the historical average, last year we were up 18% over the historical average in numbers.
You're looking at that as far as the sales amount that we from.
Correct.
I mean, it's been pretty standard across 2016 to today.
Correct. Yeah, we had a bunch of really good years. No one would say these were bad years. These were great years. They were above that average. But the average over the last 10 years, you can see we're still above those 2013, 2014 years. But these were outlying years. These were years that were very odd. So when you're explaining what's going on this year or what happened in 2022, don't try and compare it to last year or the year before. Compare it to 2019, 2018. Did you have a question?
No, I was saying somebody was waving.
Okay. All right, good. Making sure. So what smart buyers and sellers know is regardless of market conditions, sometimes it's just the right time to buy or sell, right? It's like a clock, and we're going to go into what does that clock look like. Sorry, I'm moving 2 slides. All right. So if you were to draw a clock and say the real estate market is cyclical, like a clock, you were doing this for clients, prices hit a peak, they start going down, people get scared, equity declines, we hit a bottom, and then we start to improve, the market rises. So the left side of the market, the prices are going up, the right side of the market, the prices are going down. But clocks are not, in the real estate world, round, right? They fall on top of each other, because each peak in the market exceeds the previous peak. So they're not round, but it's a very easy explanation. I'm going to give you some language to use. So we've had 11 or 12 years, 10 to 12 years, depending on your market, of an upcycle. And that followed a relatively short 5-year down cycle. Everybody feels like that down cycle lasted forever, but it was really a small period of time compared to all these years of upcycle. Let me show you that. I have to do it over here. So all these years of upcycle, right? And 5 years of down cycle. And so when you're going to show this to buyers and sellers, you're not going to show it on a PowerPoint. You're going to draw it out. And I drew this one with a long upcycle. See how the clock goes way out to the side, and then it's steeper up. And then a down cycle on the other side. So on the left-hand side of the clock, each sale that occurs actually causes the next sale to be higher, right? Every seller wants a little bit more than the last seller got on the left side, and buyers are willing to pay it because we're going up. When we're going down, buyers want to pay less than the last sale. So that's what we're going to be running into, and something that we've got to pay close attention to. So I want you to note that each side of the clock, all right, each side of the clock is where the point that meets supply and demand meet. Okay. Sorry, this presentation didn't come up exactly the same as mine when I downloaded it. The words are right on top of it. But let me tell you what it says. Each point on the clock is the point where supply meets demand, right? That's where a buyer and seller made an agreement, correct?
Yep.
That's what causes prices to be where they are. Buyers and sellers agree to buy and sell at that particular price. We went up for 11 years because there wasn't enough supply for the demand, right? We had little supply, high demand. We were down the 5 years before because we had too much supply for the demand. It's a really simple equation, okay? And when you're looking at this chart that I keep showing you, this is from the St. Louis Fed website. You can find it at fred.stlouisfed.org. I don't know if I can put into a comment, if people are able to see comments. So let me throw that link in. Comments. Maybe I can't. I don't know.
You should be able to.
Well, it's not letting me comment.
What's the site again?
Comments. All right. I'm going to chat with everybody in the studio. Maybe that'll work. Okay, there we go. That's the link if you want to pull it up and take a look at what it looks like right now. But it shows you clearly prior to that last big run up with a 5-year down cycle, we've had that 11 or 12 years up cycle, and most of that has come in the last couple of years. When you're looking at that angle, right? Where should we be if we were super steady? It just never happens exactly like that. Okay. Thank you for putting that up.
Yep.
If it's all supply and demand, what changes supply? What is it that changes supply? Well, builders build new inventory. In Central Florida, are you still having builders build new inventory?
They're building a lot more spec homes now than they were before. Obviously, they didn't have the capacity to even build spec homes because they're selling them so fast. Mm-hmm. But now they're getting them out there a lot faster. I mean, they're basically saying we're building 10 homes, get those under contract, you build the next 10. Okay. And they're doing a lot of incentives for those as well. So what were 1% or 2% commissions are now 3 and 4. They have buy downs.
Yeah, we have a local builder is paying 5% commission if you buyer to 2 communities. Yeah. So builders building new inventory increases supply. Existing homeowners selling their home increases supply. Banks selling foreclosures or allowing short sale increase supply. And investors selling investments increases supply. Can you think of anything else that I'm missing there? Or is that where we get our supply?
Increasing supply?
Yeah.
You got, if there's any sort of short sales and stuff, I think you've got it all on target. I mean, unless you've got the investor pool trying to get out, when you have a lot exiting while a lot are entering.
So we're going to talk about that in a few minutes. So what changes demand? Well, more adult humans getting jobs and needing a home to live in, right? All those kids that have been living in basements moving out, right? The income changes demand. The income people have for housing. Inflation is a part of that equation. In other words, when it costs more for your groceries and your gas, you're going to have less to spend on a house, right? The cost of home mortgages changes demand. We all know what's happened with interest rates, and investors needing a place to put money that gives a return. Okay. So we have a lot of investors here buying out entire subdivisions. It's crazy because it's the best place for them to put their money. So what changes do you see happening in supply and demand now and coming soon? Remember that inflation having part of that equation in demand, right? So if anybody wants to put your thoughts in chat, we can discuss some of those. But inflation came in much faster than expected, which was bad news for the Fed, which is why they have continued to raise that base rate, which has supported raising mortgage rates. Okay. So inflation came in really quick, and that happened. And that is part of that demand equation. You see, when prices are rising, as I mentioned, every time there's a new sale closing, the next house, buying that next house puts you in the best position other than buying yesterday, because the price keeps going up. When prices are coming down, for sellers, the next house that sells is probably going to be lower. So you better be that next sale to get the highest price. Why?
I need that today for a listing appointment.
Okay, good. And I'm going to give you a couple slides on that. You may want to take some screenshots here. All right. Buyers are willing to pay what a house is going to be worth later. Okay. That's what they want to pay. They want to be what it's going to be worth when they're the owner 6, 8, 12 months from now. They don't want to pay what it's worth now. The same reason they were willing to pay more on the left side of the clock is why they're willing to pay less on the right side of the clock. Okay. If you pay too much on the left side and you're at 9, 10 o'clock, it's okay. The prices are going to ride to meet to what you paid anyway. Right. But on the right side of the clock, buyers are always want to pay what it's going to be worth down the road. Okay. Market value is actually what buyers were willing to pay 2 or 3 months ago before, when they contracted. You get it? Mm-hmm. You see, it's not what buyers are willing to pay now. We don't know what buyers are willing to pay now. We know what they were willing to pay a couple months ago, but we don't know what they're willing to pay now until we put it on the market. So it's very important to be pricing properties correctly, because if buyers think the market's declining, they do not want to pay market value. They want to underpay. Really important point. So smart swellers know to price it right to start so that they're not chasing the market down. I had my son-in-law put this together, and I know it's not big on your screen, but just imagine this. If the house was worth today as a new listing, $500,000, and it's going to go down over the next 18 months, there's going to be a stair step down on the value of that property. Okay. So what happens if we price it at $519 when it's worth $500? Doesn't sell, right?
Right.
So then if a couple months later we reduce it to $499, there's a problem, because that was the right price 3 months ago, but it's not the right price now. So it's still going to sit there unsold. So we say, okay, well, let's go down to $485, except for $485 was back over on the left-hand side. We missed it again. This is called chasing the market down. Okay. What you want to do with sellers is to make sure that they don't make this mistake. Remember, they need to be the next sale that occurs in a declining market. You see, if they weren't the next sale that occurs in an upwards market, it's okay because prices are rising. But when they're going down, you can't let them do that. If you'll price it correctly, just under what you think market value is right now, and you get it sold at the beginning, you've got a faster sale and a higher price overall.
That was going to be my question to you, Donna, 2 slides ago, was if I'm at $519, then where should I price it? So you just dove into that slide.
I dove right in. You've got to go at $489.9.
Yeah.
Because you've got to show sellers that slide saying, if we chase the market down, you may end up at $450 a little bit down the road. We don't know how fast that's going to happen. I will tell you what I'm hearing from some of the canary in the coal mine markets, I call them, the markets that tend to react fastest, like the fastest markets to go up tend to be the fastest markets to go down, right?
Yeah.
So Austin, Texas is having a real problem. They were one of those markets. California is having a real problem. So we have to understand that that's going to relate here, and we got to be very, very careful not to overprice property right now. Really important to underprice property. And I'm going to give you some language for that soon. So the last 1 year, we're simply flat on the market. That's what we are. However, what we know this year is things are changing. So this is how you explain the clock. When we show the clock to a buyer or seller, what we say about it matters. People are going to ask, when do we know we're at a peak or a bottom? We don't. And we don't know because we don't know what those prices people offered 2 months ago are until it closes. You see? The offer to closing delay of 30 to 60 days means we can never actually time the market. We only know it where it is after the point has occurred. See, right. A couple months ago, I showed this presentation, and most people thought we were between 11 and 12 earlier this spring. Okay. But when you ask them today, they say we're between 1 and 2. You see, nobody guessed at the market peak that we were there because they don't know it. You don't know until after the peak. So ask your client, your buyer client or your seller client, where do you think we are in the clock, and have them mark it. Hand them the pen. All right. Now, what happens during this market? We're going to look at it very carefully. All right. And some of these things happen simultaneously, but they happen within a few hours of each other. So you'll see some of the clues about what's happening. All right. When sales start to slow down, would you say in your area, Todd, sales have started to slow down?
They start to slow down usually in September, right after school starts. And then they pick back up October, November, and slow down again right before December.
Okay. And how are you doing in October with sales?
We're actually decent right now. I mean, we had a good September coming into October, same thing this month.
So watch for sales slowing that's different than the seasonal.
Yeah.
Right? Inventory starts to rise. Now, last fall and winter, inventory was still extremely tight. Extremely tight. We're seeing inventory start to rise. Prices will start to decline more steeply once you get around the corner. See, at the very beginning, sellers are still trying to get what they could have gotten over here on the left side of the clock. So prices start declining when they don't get them sold. Panic and fear, distressed property sales. I don't think we're going to have a lot of distressed property sales because people have so much equity, right? So I still don't think that's going to happen. Market hits a bottom, the number of sales pick up, the builders start ramping up again, and so on. All right. So that's how the cycle works. Very important to explain that correctly. Now, what smart buyers and sellers know is the price is the same. You know, if the house was worth $475 and then maybe in February this year it was worth $500, well, it may be back to $475 now, but it's just where it was, you know, the same time last year, you see?
Right.
So it's very important for when you're talking to sellers and they're worried about the prices come down from 500. No, it has, but it's really the same as if you sold on the upcycle on the other side. Okay. But there is a better time to sell. And of course, that's when is the best time to sell is just before the peak. Because if your buyer's unreasonable, you know, you can get a little bit higher price or the same price. However, on this side of the clock, on the right side of the clock, there's no confidence that we're going to have a better buyer. We had a listing we put on the market for $515 about a month or so ago. Had one showing, buyer offered $500, seller rejected it. Today, the seller's at $495, and we're still not getting any showings.
We have a few of those examples, and that's the problem. It's like your first offer may be your best one.
Important. Your first offer may be your best offer. In fact, it probably is.
Yeah.
All right. So this is a little bit of language I learned back from my first coach when I was first in the business, is when you get an offer on a property, you go to the seller and you say, if you sign this offer, we're sold. You have two choices: accept the offer or reject the offer. That's your only two choices.
Right.
If you can accept the offer and get moved where you want to move, accept the offer. If you can't, well, reject the offer. All right. Now, of course, what do people say? Well, can I counter the offer? What is a counter? It's a rejection.
Yep.
Okay. Buyer has no obligation to even buy at the first price they offered you. Okay. So you got to be very careful when you're presenting offers. You have two choices, accept or reject. If you reject, yes, we can counter, but I want you to understand it's a rejection. So if you can take the offer and get moved. Okay. So very important to be presenting that in that way to sellers. Okay. Let's move on. When's the best time to buy? Well, the prices are the same on both sides of the clock, but the best time is when prices are still declining or we've just passed the bottom. The problem is no one knows for sure when that is. Why is it better then? Sellers have lower confidence. The press may be negative. Inventory is higher. You have more to choose from. Interest rates are known. Sellers are more flexible, right? You got all of these good reasons. Lots of room to go up in price when the market rises again. And when we talk about our concrete reasons about why to buy now, you're going to see that one of those reasons is it will go up again. It always has historically, right? So wherever you buy on the right-hand side of the clock, if you stay long enough, you're going to get up, right? You could get a better house for the same money on the right-hand side of the clock. Interest rates matter a lot when they go up this fast, all right? If buyer A paid $450 on the left side at 3.75 and buyer B bought the same house on the right side at 6.75, whoa, $1,876 a month versus $2,626 a month. Okay, that's what we're talking about, the inflationary aspect. Some buyers just cannot afford that anymore, so they're going to offer what they can afford.
And it changes the level that they're able to buy at too, so they're looking at a totally different house.
Absolutely, you're talking about a whole different kind of house. So rents are up and rents are rising. So why buy now, right? We're going to go into this in that concrete reasons to buy. If you're going to live there through the next cycle, what do you care? The real point is to get stuck where you want to get stuck through the next cycle. Okay. Right. So if you're in the wrong property, go get in the right property, because it doesn't matter which property you buy right now. If we're going to decline in prices, you're going to get stuck there for a while. Go get stuck where you want to get stuck. All right. If you're not stuck where you want to get stuck, get out of it now, sell your house now, and go get stuck where you want to get stuck. You get it?
Yeah.
That's a very important conversation to be having with people who think maybe I'll not sell, maybe I'll wait to sell. Well, it's going to be a long wait before you get back up higher than you are today, because we're near the top on the right-hand side of the clock. You get it? You got a long wait down and then back up again to get to this same price. So when you're showing people that clock, if they could sell at 475 today, how many spots do they go back around before they get back to 475? That's what you got to show sellers. Okay.
Right.
All right. Next, we're going to do 10 concrete reasons why to buy on the right side of the clock, because most of us are having trouble getting buyers to buy right now. Right. So number one, if you're staying in the home long term, it's the same price on the left or right. The benefit to buying now is sellers may be desperate and you finally get some negotiating power. If you wait for the same price on the other side of the clock, they know they can find another buyer that's going to pay more. Okay. If interest rates raise further, your buying power goes down. So right now, number two, we know what you can afford, right? If the rates rise another 2%, you may not even be able to buy at all. So buy the home, rent the rate, right? That's what we're talking about. If you think interest rates are going to go down, great. Buy the home, rent the rate, refinance later. If you think interest rates are going to go up, buy the home and get the rate you can get right now.
I like your analogy there too, because it's normally marry the house, date the rate. I like renting the rate because it's a short-term thing.
It's a short-term thing, right? Rent the rate. You're just renting it.
Yeah.
You may want to rent it long-term. You may keep renting it for a year or two or three or four. You may rent, but at least you know if they go down, you can get that fixed. Number three, and when I first started in real estate, we told people deduct your mortgage interest. Nobody talks about it anymore because there's a big giant deduction you can take when you don't itemize. But I think we're going to see more people itemizing, because when you itemize your taxes, you can deduct your mortgage interest.
Right.
Okay? So if you're in a 30% tax bracket, that's a hefty deduction. So talk to your tax person, but roughly $2,000 in rent would buy $2,600 in mortgage payment. Think about that. Well, I could rent for $2,000. Yeah, but if I'm paying $2,600 in mortgage payment, I get to deduct that mortgage interest. It's the same as paying $2,000 in rent. You're just paying less to Uncle Sam. Okay. So go through that with your tax professional and put that $600 extra a month into your house instead of paying it in taxes. Number 4, buying now, even if we're at 1 to 3 o'clock on the clock, means you start paying off a house now rather than waiting for the other side of the clock. Since
Get that next slide.
Pardon? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, that's all right.
I'm on my other one and not this one. There we go. All right. Each peak has exceeded the previous peak. Buy and hold, and it will be worth more than you paid for it as long as history does continue to repeat itself, which it always has. Okay. Buy for the benefits owning a home has always been. When I first started selling homes, it actually costs a lot more to buy a house than it costs to rent a house. And I know it's not been like that lately. But back then, people bought because they wanted to own a home. They wanted to be paying off a home. So look at why you want to own and weigh that against the few extra dollars interest you're paying right now. The benefits are going to outweigh those costs most of the time. Number 6, when you own, you know you don't have to move when the owner of your rental decides to sell it. Okay? You're the owner. Investors may be cashing in over the next few years, and too many tenants are going to get displaced again and again and again. I know a lady who just called me for the 3rd year in a row. She's having to move because her owner is selling the property. Okay? So let's look at reason number 7. Your limits on what you can do with the home are far fewer when you own versus rent. Yes, you can put that built-in bookcase without permission. Yes, you can paint the bedroom. You can soundproof it. You can paint your exterior, anything the HOA approves. You can plant a tree and watch it grow for 50 years. All right? You're not going to get that in a rental. Number 8, homeowners enjoy privacy living in a rental does not afford. You understand when you sign a lease, that landlord or that property manager can come in from time to time, and it may be in your contract. They can do it on a regular basis. Okay. Staying in one area for a long time as a homeowner allows people to become more active in local civic organizations and creates a sense of community and security. Really a lot of good reasons to own versus rent. Number 9, of course, you're going to pay off the loan someday, and this house could be what provides you your retirement money or allow you to live very inexpensively with no mortgage payments someday. All right. You're not going to get that in a rental. Number 10, when rates change, which they will, all right, you can refinance and enjoy a smaller minimum payment having practiced paying a bigger one, right? Consider this time as practice, because if you keep that same payment you've been practicing with, you're going to pay off your home even faster when you refinance. You might do some calculations for buyers and show them that. If the rate goes back down to 4%, but you keep that same payment you were paying at 8% or 7% or whatever you're at today, you're going to pay it off in just 12, 15, 18 years or something instead of 30. So it's a good practice to be into. Okay. So again, what smart sellers and buyers know is if you miss the best time, it's still a good time when you're in the wrong home. Get stuck where you want to be stuck, not where you don't want to be stuck. That's a really important phrase for you to learn and be using all the time. So any questions on any of that?
No, I think it's great. I love the top 10, things for it, reasons to buy, because it does tie into, if you say the market's going to keep going down, why would I even want to be a buyer? But it doesn't matter. You got to sell on the payment versus the price, because if the prices go down another 20 grand, but rates go up another 2 points, that 2,600 turns into 3,200.
Real quick.
Yeah, real quick. And then now I can't afford. Now I'm buying in even the lower price point. So
Correct.
Get in and get stuck where you want to be stuck. And that's what we did 12 years ago or 10 years ago. We moved to where we wanted to be. If we had to be there long term, we're comfortable there.
Yep.
We always want to move up, but if we're stuck here, we're good for a while.
We're good for a while. And when Mike and I first bought our first home together, we could choose between a house that was about $350,000 and a house that was $415,000. And the one that was $350,000 made me cry based on its condition. The $415,000 one was a good one, but we actually had to get his parents to co-sign with us because we couldn't qualify. All right. we knew the market was shifting. We knew we were at 1 o'clock on the market scale. We knew it.
Yeah.
And what we said to ourselves is, if the market's going to go down, where do I want to be stuck at?
Yeah.
And we picked the 415 house. It was a really good purchase. By the way, when we sold that house, we sold it for 1.2 million. Right? It had gone down to about 300,000 at the bottom of the cycle, but it didn't matter because we were living in it. We could afford the payment. Our kids got to go to the same school for a long period of time. It was the right house for us. So yes, stretch yourself. Okay. Stretch yourself and go get stuck where you want to get stuck. So buyers, is there a danger of making low offers in the market? Yes, if rates go higher. Okay. No, if not. The thing is, low offers can cost you a lot of money when the market's rising, but it can actually help in a declining one, especially if you're paying cash or you have a locked in rate. If not, you got to pay attention to the interest rates. 300,000 at 7% is actually less money per month than 290 at 8%. All right. Do that math for buyers so that they can see. Do that math for buyers so they can see. So if your X is on the right-hand side, know that you're going to be able to get a little bit of a deal. All right. You're probably not going to have to pay full price. That said, we're showing a buyer right now, a property had 14 offers on it. They underpriced it for the market. Okay. 14 offers on it. And we did not get it because there was a cash buyer that came in ahead of us at the same price. And we're in backup. Okay. So if properties are priced correctly, understand you need to make the right offer. All right. Even today. But if you're trying to get a deal and a seller is priced too high and your realtor will tell you, you guys at Agents Who Win know what the price should be. Give your people advice and they're going to know. Okay. So very important. Sellers become less flexible on the left-hand side, become more flexible on the right-hand side. All right. Really a danger of making pricing properties too high. All right. Very important conversation for sellers is if you price your property too high, get those sellers to make an X and have some pricing in your circle here. All right. Buyers are going to be making offers. You need to expect it. And you do a net sheet for a seller. I recommend you do 3, one at list price, one at 5% at list price, and one at 10% below list price. Show them what the net will be at all 3 of those prices. So if you get a reasonable offer in, the seller, it's not a shock to them how much they're going to get. Okay. So I used to have sellers sign 3 net sheets. And I had to write on it sometimes. This doesn't mean you have to accept 5% less or 10% less.
I presented it to you and this is it.
I've informed you. That's all you're signing is I've informed you. But I will tell you, something psychologically happens with those sellers if they've signed something showing what their net is at 10% below. Yeah. They have dealt with that shock now instead of when a good offer comes in.
Right.
Okay? So really, if you've got to explain to sellers, you've got to be the very next sale that occurs. So we got to figure out what's that price it's going to cause you to be the next sale. All right. So why should sellers not try it higher? This is the pool of buyers. All right. So you guys know this, but you may have never thought of it this way or had this conversation. Conversation with sellers. Where on the clock do you have the most buyers? Top of the clock, right? Mm-hmm. If you don't sell right away when you're listing, the pool of buyers has rejected your property. So let's explain what we're talking about with a pool of buyers. You see, when you list your property, all right, there's a pool of buyers waiting for a property like yours to come on the market. They have not purchased yet. So imagine this swimming pool, and in the pool are all the listings that are comparable with your listings that have not sold. They're all floating around in the pool. All right. Also in the pool are people who are looking at those properties, right? They're buyers for those properties that haven't picked a property yet. Okay. So we got a pool with listings in it, a pool with buyers in it, and you list your property. Boom, you splash into that pool. What happens? All the buyers swim over to see if your house is better than any of the ones that are out there right now. If they think it is, they'll grab yours and get out of the pool before some other buyer gets it. You see? However, if you get rejected in those first few days on the market, you become just another listing bobbing around in that pool with all the other listings that haven't sold. And the buyers, that pool of buyers that may have had 10, 12, 15, 20 people in it, okay, are no longer looking at your property, and you're waiting for one buyer at a time to go get in the pool, the next buyer that comes into the market. So it's really critical that they understand the pool of buyers and how important it is to get one of those buyers in the pool who's waiting for a property like yours to come on the market, to grab it and get out of the pool right away. You see?
So one of my listings right now, I did an open house. And they said, we're just going to watch the listing right now. We like it, but we just want to see where it goes. Same thing. We just got feedback yesterday on the same listing and said, we're interested, but we're not ready to put an offer. Like, put an offer on it, because you don't know what the seller's going to take. But it's kind of like telling the seller, well, we got 4 interested parties that just want to watch it, but don't want to strike a contract yet. They're waiting to see where you get down to.
So what I would tell that seller is, what is your bottom line price? And I'm going to go to those 4 people. I'm going to say to them, we're going to adjust the price in MLS tomorrow to this number. If you want it before it hits MLS, you better write an offer on it for that price now.
Get in now.
Okay. And that way they feel like you've just splashed in the pool. You see, you've just splashed in the pool. So what happens if you don't sell right away? Okay. If that pool of buyers rejects you, just like bait on a hook, you start to get smelly. Okay. Right.
The deep clean's done.
Yeah. If the initial pool of buyers says no, new buyers arrive at the pool and think, I wonder what's wrong with that one. Right? That's what they think. They're waiting for another thing to splash in the pool. All the good listings sell fast, but you're sitting there floating around. They may just ignore you. So what do? You've got to splash again. How do you do that? SPRS, Systematic Price Reduction Strategy. Okay. This is a marketing program. It is not technically a price reduction program, because if you think you're priced right, but everybody's ignoring you, you got to splash in the pool. How do you splash? Okay. You're going to make some little tiny price reductions very, very quickly. You see, NAR said a long time ago, homes that get no showings in a short time on the market are probably 10% or more overpriced. If you get no showings, if you splash in that pool and nobody looks at you, you're way off on price.
This is perfect for my price reduction appointment this afternoon.
Very good. If nobody's looking at you, you are way off. Okay.
Yeah.
If you are getting showings but no offers, then you're probably at least 5% off. And what they did is they studied homes, how long they'd been on the market, what kind of showings they had. And what has happened is anybody who's getting no showings when they go on the market will ultimately sell for 10% or more less than they listed at initially. If people get showings but no offers, they will ultimately sell for 5% or more less than that initial price. So that's your very important statistic to be able to tell sellers if they are going to price it too high. All right. But systematic price reduction allows you to do a little price change. Every time you do it, no matter how small, a new email goes out to to the buyer and the buyer's agent that have your criteria saved, right? Every time. Just like commercials or billboards that you see repeatedly, your property keeps coming up. How many of you have driven by the Coca-Cola sign with the little sweat coming off the Coca-Cola glass? And then you drive another, 100 yards and there's another one. And then there's another one. And then there's another one. And all of a sudden you got to have that Coke, right? All right. What you're doing is creating that in people's inbox over and over. Oh my gosh, they reduced. Oh my gosh. Maybe we ought to go look at that one. You see?
When they the buyer that says we're going to watch it, now they keep watching it more and more often.
Watch it. Yes. So it creates curiosity and a desire at least to go see it. Okay. You look interesting because you're splashing in the pool. Splashing properties don't get smelly. They don't get stagnant. Right. All right. Splashing properties get shown more, and you cannot sell it if people aren't looking at it. Okay. Really important. You can't sell it. So it's not about going down huge percentage points. If you're 5 or 10% off, you got to do that. Okay. If you're not 5 or 10% off, let's start splashing in the pool. Okay. So you could do one giant price reduction but if you think you're priced pretty well, you've just gotten stagnant, then do 5 $1,000 ones a couple of days apart. You're going to get more showings. We tested this in the last down cycle in our office, and we had 45% more showings on average for people who participated in the SPRS program than those who did not. 45% more showings means you get sold. You guys have seen this before, the impact of price on visibility. You're not going to get every buyer that's out there to look at your property unless you are underpriced, okay? If you are underpriced by 10 or 15%, almost every buyer will look at it. If not, you're going to get a percentage of those buyers. So the last way to get more showings, okay, there's another way. It's underprice your property strategy. Properties that are underpriced are going to get more buyers looking. When more buyers are looking, understand there is an image of demand that has occurred at this property, okay? Yeah. It looks like there must be some kind of a deal here because there's more demand. Your home can seem like super high demand, and that can still cause a bidding war, which is always the best way to get the highest possible price. I'm going to tell you a little story here. I had a seller in a very bad market say he needed to sell his house in 2 weeks or less. And I said, man, the average right now is like 6-8 months. I'm not sure we can do that. He said, yes, we can. What do you think it's really worth? I said, well, it's probably worth $410, $415. He said, okay, we're going to price it at $350. And this is what I want you to put in MLS. Seller will look at offers next Wednesday. And then I want you to hold it open on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Okay? We had over 140 people come through the house. And guess what we sold it at?
$415.
$415. If I had priced it at $415, it would still been sitting there.
Yeah.
Okay? Because people saw other people looking at it, it caused a demand. We simply got more people into it. When you get more people into it, you're going to get your best possible price. We got to start selling sellers on that. One other thing from that report from Mike Dupree, the commission pool, guys, is less than it was last year. That's how much commission is available to all the real estate agents in billions of dollars. Okay. So
can you explain on that? You mean it's less than last year? What do you mean by that? Since the price down some, or
commissions came down a little bit, right? Mm-hmm. Beginning of the year, commissions came down. We have fewer sales. Remember that first slide? We have fewer sales than we had last year. All right. So we're a little bit lower in the commission pool. What do you think is going to happen? Okay, in the future? The bottom line is those pandemic years of 2020 and 2021 were radical outliers. And one of them was the commission pool. All right. So it's really important for us to be looking at 2023 in the right light when setting our goals. All right. This is just the reality. Very important thing for you to be considering in setting your goals for next year. So let's go into my crystal ball. Ready? Donna's crystal ball. Demand of normal buyers are going to decrease due to higher cost to buy and own right now. Period. The demand of normal buyers. The supply may also decrease. Remember supply and demand, right? As more potential sellers do not sell, but instead keep their home and rent it out for a profit. Okay? You're going to have more people who say, I'm not selling it. I can get more in rent than my payment and have a couple $100 a month or more.
For building your real estate empire.
Okay. So you're going to have more people that do that. So we're going to see fewer listings come on the market as well. So this is a double-edged sword. It creates a better balance on supply and demand, which means we probably don't have a giant crash in prices, but what we do have a crash in is the number of transactions. That's an important thing. In other words, while it might have been easy to find the number of transactions you did in 2021 and 2022, that number may get harder to get in 2023 and 2024. Okay. Another crystal ball prediction. We're going to start seeing sellers hold loans. We've got a lot of people out there that own properties free and clear. We're going to see some sellers. The thing is, if they don't need that cash, getting a return on it's better than it's sitting in the bank. I said 4 to 5% return, but right now you could probably get a 6% return on money. Where else are people going to put their money? You're not going to get it in the stock market right now.
Right.
Where are you going to get it? Okay. So there'll be sellers that start holding loans, and understand this is going to help you to get buyers to buy because they'll undercut the regular mortgage market. All right. But understand you're going to pay more for that house. You're going to be more in price. So sellers are willing to hold loans. Their house is going to be more value. Remember that 300 and 290 property. If I could get a property and pay 300 but only pay 6% interest, or I can buy a property at 290 and pay 7% interest, which one do I want?
Right.
I want the 300 one. You see? So buyers will be willing to pay more for sellers that hold loans. We're also going to see attempts at loans being assumed. Remains to be seen how hard that's going to be. But if you've got a seller has a FHA, VA loan, or some conventional loans, get into a conversation about it. What is their equity position, and could someone assume that loan? Okay. If prices go down enough, you'll have people that are just having somebody come in and take over their loan and walk away. Okay. But we'll see some of that, some loans being assumed. But if you go out to all your past clients that have properties at low mortgage rates, tell them, do not let go of that mortgage for any reason.
Right.
Okay. Talk to me first before you let go of that mortgage, because your property is more valuable with an assumable loan. We're also going to see some buy downs of interest rates, which is simply, guys, it's just prepaying the interest. Make no mistake about it. I had somebody the other day said, a buy down is no deal. It costs the same as if you were. Yes, it's just a perceived value to the buyer. The seller is paying down prepaid interest. Okay. That's all it is. It's the same money. It's like buying an interest rate down with points. That's what it is. That's what a buy down is. Okay. The pie is shrinking. Guys, the pie is shrinking. So getting your part of the remaining pie is going to get harder unless you prepare now. Your systems to generate business have got to be rock solid starting now. And if you've been buyer heavy, you may want to get listing heavy. Okay. So here's how we can help. No Resistance for Sell by Owner course starts today. Today is Thursday. We're recording this. This is going to be shown on Friday, right, Todd?
Yes.
So it is recorded. If anybody wants to look at additional source of business being for sell by owners, contact us if you want in on that course. I'm going to start the Working with Investor Owner course in November. I'll be doing a free webinar on that. I'll get it to you, Todd, so you can let your people know. Because investor owners are obviously going to be one of the best sources of business over the next couple of years. Why? Investors have to put their money somewhere. Putting it into a house is better than putting it somewhere else. Okay. And then I'm going to start my Call and Grow Rich course in January, because we're going to have to make more calls than we have in the past. So all these people, that's 91% of people who've never been in a down market. You're going to have to get on the phone. You're going to have to start making calls. So email me at courses@yourcoachingmatters.com and I'll get you the information on any of the courses. If you want to join me in a group coaching mastermind, it's $89 a month. Go to bit.ly/YCM group and you can join group coaching mastermind. It's month to month. And group coaching mastermind plus a program I call 150 to Life, where you identify who the top 150 people you could be marketing to is, and you market to those people like crazy. That's only $150 a month. All of these are month to month. You get 50% off the course costs when you're in one of the group coaching. So you're going to have 50% off. So if you want to commit to a year in any of the group programs, I do give you a discount there as well. So I know this is really hard to read on your screen. Sorry about that.
Yeah, it's the yellow kind of.
Yeah, everything's going on top of itself versus on my screen. So thank you for being here. Go take your knowledge and educate the sellers and buyers in your market. The agent who win way, that says style down here. This is what I believe. I believe in real estate. I've been doing this 36 years. I believe in the real estate industry. And I know we can all weather this storm if we keep focused. If you want to talk to me personally, Donna.Stott@yourcoachingmatters.com. So I don't know how to stop this. Let's see if I can stop the share.
I will move out the screen if that was the last one. It moves back to this.
Right, that was it. So that was the full presentation. I don't know if I went over on time for you or not, or how.
No, you're good. There's a lot to do. There's almost like 2 or 3 presentations and some little mini series.
I was trying to get it all in there for your folks.
No, it's great. And Donna, I appreciate it in the courses, guys. Just to plug for Donna and Mike, I've coached them for about 8 years. Went from a single agent with an assistant to team of 15 agents, and the growth was all help of them and some systems in the classes and kind of helping us pivot in the right direction. So if you guys are looking at coaching as well, definitely give them a call about coaching, because it's helped us with our growth.
Well, I know when I hired my first coach, it really shifted. I was doing okay, right?
Yeah.
When I hired a coach, what happened is I was able to see bigger. I was able to get into a small group. We're a small group at Your Coaching Matters.
Yeah.
And you're still very good friends with many of the people in coaching with us, because they help each other. And that's one of the things Your Coaching Matters has, is we're a small little entity with people doing really well. I have one agent that's been coaching with me that's earned over $10 million since we started coaching together. 10 million, guys. If that's not a good plug for coaching, I don't know what is.
Yeah, no, exactly. And you're not the big group where you got 2,000, 4,000, 5,000 people, all successful people building, making over 400,000 a year typically. And, those are people I want to learn from, because if I'm an individual agent making 100 grand, I could learn from someone making 400 or $1 million, even better.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. If there's anything more I can do for you, or if you've got a topic coming up you'd like me to write something up for you on, I'm happy to do so. And thank you so much, Todd.
Awesome.
We really appreciate you.
And guys, remember to like and subscribe us on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, and follow us on podcast. We are now on there as well. And I think we're on Instagram TV. I don't follow that back end, but you can find us anywhere. And definitely check the shows out. This is a good one, because it does talk about what's going on as we enter this fourth quarter and how to really pivot our businesses into 2023 and talk to our clients.
Great.
So, thank you, Donna.
You're welcome.